Hello and welcome to Matt Reviews Books. I am your host, Matt. And if this is your first time here, well, why haven't you come here soon? I'm just kidding. If this is your first time here, this is a book review channel dedicated to older books. Not new books, no, and not upcoming books, because I don't do that. But this is books that were bestsellers at one point in time, some years ago, into many years ago, and, well, they're now in the used bookstore, more or less. Sometimes we talk about books that were bestsellers, and I don't know why they were bestsellers. Looking at you, Robert B. Parker. If that sounds like something that you would like to watch, then go ahead, subscribe down below the button, and comment. Let me know what you're reading. I like to know. I like to hear what you're reading, find some new books. So, what are we doing? This week, we are looking at a book that I'm not really a big fan of. It's not like it's a bad book, but I don't see what the big deal is. And that is Jim Butcher, Stormfront. And yes, it is a Harry Dresden novel from a novel of the Dresden Files. And I know that Jim Butcher has a huge following. He's really hot right now. A lot of people really like his books, and they're collectors, and they're like, yes! And I just don't get it. I just don't understand. So here's the thing. I'm one of the basic premise of the Dresden books. This is hard-boiled detective, PI, private investigator, gumshoe, meets fantasy, like wizards, and witches, and vampires, and demons, fairies. And so this is Harry Dresden is a private investigator. He's also a wizard, and he has all the wizarding witch kind of stuff. He's a magic user, and he solves crime. He helps the LAPD. No, it's the Chicago PD. I'm sorry. The Chicago PD solve weird crimes that involve supernatural stuff. And this one, Stormfront, is about a murder. So it's a murder mystery. People are dead. Cops can't figure it out. Call in the gumshoe, right? If you've read Raymond Chandler, you sort of have an idea of that basic premise. In fact, if you've read any PI books at all, John D. MacDonald, Robert B. Parker, then you know there's a formula. It's a genre. It's a genre just like fantasy, right? High fantasy, epic fantasy, quest fantasy, all those subgenres, they have specific points, specific structure. And Jim Butcher takes two different genres, mixes them together, and just bases it on the old mystery of a murder. A couple of murders. And then throws in all the other elements as trying to mix things up. And that's it. That's the synopsis, and it's pretty much carries the rest of the series. Okay? Alright, so with that, let's move on to thoughts. The writing is really uneven. And the narrative style is a little bit too trying to be hard-boiled. It's not natural hard-boiled. Like seems like might be a first book. I don't know. And it just feels the characterization of the principal characters. Characterization of the characters? But you know what I'm saying. It just seems too starchy and stiff, and they're not fleshed out in the way that a John D. MacDonald book can. Seems like the characters are interesting and much more nuanced. Hey, Thomas Harris does really good at that in terms of a murder mystery. It's basically a murder mystery. Silence of the Lambs, murder mystery. But it's fresh. It's still, to this day, great. This is just not that. It's like trying to recreate two super structured genres, fantasy and hard boiled, in such a way it's just kind of a train wreck. It doesn't work well together, and I know it's been done in other ways much more successfully, I think. Like Laurel K. Hamilton in her Anita Blake series does that. She has a PI who also happens to be a woman, which is kind of runs counter to type. And then it's all populated with vampires and werewolves and stuff like that. It works much better, I think, than this effort. And I'm just saying that this book, Stormfront, did not turn me on to the Dresden Files. It did not turn me on to his writing style. It just didn't. It was stiff and uneven. The two genres kind of clashed. And honestly, I'm just not interested in reading any more Jim Butcher, unless I get a whole bunch. Now here's a caveat: if I get a whole bunch of y'all telling me that Jim Butcher, this is his first book, and I really need to go read the rest of it, read another one, convince me that Jim Butcher, I need to go read this, more of him. Because I'm kind of disappointed. Like, I really want to be part of the hype, and I can't get behind the hype. And one of these days, I will address that same issue with Robert B. Parker. So, with that, I think I'm done. That's it. I appreciate you watching. Yeah. I will see you next time.